Now, I did tell you don't do this. It's time for the Game Week 7 preview. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brian, and today it is time for the Game Week 7 preview. Also doing a little bit of review of the past week about who your top transfer targets need to be for Game Week 7. Now, if you did listen to me after the Luton game, which does seem like quite a while ago now, I did tell you do not be buying Chelsea assets because they are atrocious. It was only Luton. And do you know, since the calendar year has begun, Chelsea have only won 5 games. Now, I found that information out from Rory Jennings on TikTok, but I knew that it was bad. I didn't even realise myself how bad that is. But then so many people continuously said there was data for Jackson, bringing in Sterling was a good idea. There was no data to prove this. I've been saying it for weeks, and some other FPL experts and analysts out there are saying that the data's good. No, it isn't. This is why I go through this data day in, day out to actually prove these facts when I'm making my decisions. And that is why, apart from last weekend, we finished above average every single week. So if you do want to stay up to date with the best data analysed FPL decisions you can go for, make sure to hit subscribe and follow me over on Instagram to get your team reviewed by myself. So without any further ado, we're going to go up over now and have a look at the top transfer targets for Game Week 7. So having a look here at the most transferred in players, we can see Botman and Trippier from Newcastle as an absolutely incredible week. Clean sheets and goals between them. Unfortunately, Botman did not get the bonus points, but Trippier clearly did after a hat-trick of assists. Myself, I went for Dan Burn just to have that little bit of a differential. So when he scored, I was absolutely buzzing, but then I did see Botman came in right behind him to get a goal to equalise that, which just put them both in a level playing field. But I did save that little bit extra cash as well going for that, which in turn let me bring in somebody who is going to rake in the points over the next coming game weeks, which is the man himself. Oh, I need to go to the right one. Mo Salah. I could do an easy transfer from Bruno Fernandes to him, just keeping the cash in the bank, because I do think he is probably going to score against Spurs again, and I know that that's not an easy fixture, but for the fact that Salah's price might go up and I might not have been able to afford him without getting rid of Son, I'm very glad I made that decision right away, because the fear of the fact that Salah's price is going to go up over the next couple of weeks, as is Son's probably, just based on how they're going. I do want both in their team because I think Bruno Fernandes out the both of them is not going to get as much points. I was able to keep Saka in my team as well. On the counter argument, I do think I'm starting to be wrong now about Andreas Pereira. I thought he might have been a great shout, but one of my upcoming transfers, not this week because I do not want to take a hit, is probably swapping him out for Neto from Wolves, because he yet again is continually ready to return points, and I think he is going to be a valuable asset going forward. I do think that Chilwell, though, the fact I brought him in at Game Week 1, I've never sold him. His price has fluctuated by going up a little bit, but now it's starting to drop off. I'm going to be able to swap him for somebody in the near future, but I am going to judge the next couple of weeks before I make a decision on him. My next week's transfer is going to be Neto coming in for Andreas when they do play Chelsea. I'm probably just going to keep Chilwell on the bench just for that extra game week, and then make a decision on who I should swap for my defender. As you can see there, that we do have Kaburi, who did actually get a return at the week with an assist for Morris's penalty, which I think is quite a very good thing, because I did not expect it for him to come on, but I thought I'm going to take a punt. I'd rather play Kaburi than Chilwell, and it did pay off, thankfully. But he's definitely going to be getting a start for the upcoming game week now, whenever they're playing their double game week. And on that note, a lot of people are talking about Morris. Now, he did get his penalty there at the weekend. I do think he could be valuable if you have a double transfer and you need to make it. But I was very impressed with Everton, don't get me wrong. They absolutely put Brentford away, who nobody gave them a shot at, especially with Brentford at home, which does leave a little bit of concern in that first game. I do think there's still, for the fact that it is a double game week and Burnley is Luton's home game, I am going to keep him, even though I do expect Everton to win this weekend based on the performance they had. I think that that's probably going to be the most wise decision, and that also lets me bring a Wanyane back into my team. In fact, no, he did play, but he didn't actually finish the game. He ended up only getting 1 point because he got a yellow card as well. But with Brentford at home, I do expect him to continuously bring back his more returns that he's been doing so far this game week. I'm very happy with this team so far, apart from Chilwell, and I think Andreas as well, but they're just going to be sitting on my bench. There's no one on the team there that I don't think will be starting at the weekend, so we're happy happy enough to go with that. But going into the top transfer targets, you definitely should be bringing in a Newcastle asset right now. If you do want to go for the differential like myself, Dan Burn is definitely an easy choice. He's only selected by 4% of players. Last week it was like 3.8, so he's definitely getting an increase now. Botman has shot up. If we go back to check his statistics now, Botman selected by 22.9% of players, which is a hell of a lot for this stage of the game, for the fact that he's done absolutely nothing until the last 2 game weeks, apart from his one against Villa. But he is more injury prone than the others. If we do look at Dan Burn as well, we can actually see the fact that he is not being subbed off, which was something that was very appealing to me, that he's definitely not a minutes risk. He is 100% nailed on. And if we look at the other one, which was Fabian Schär, if we go and have a look now, he did not actually have, he was one of the only people that did not score at the weekend, which was quite funny for the fact that he is a little bit more expensive than Botman as well. He still came home with a clean sheet, which is more than what you can ask for. But the fact that he is owned by 3.8% of players, he's now owned less than Dan Burn, which is quite funny because I only brought him in for that reason, the fact he was the least owned. But I did manage to save 0.5 million as well, which did allow me then to bring in Salah, which I'm very happy about going forward. We're actually really doing well now. We're still in the top like $250,000, which yes, I know is not the best amount, but with the team that I have now, the structure of it going forward, I don't even need to wildcard until really late on. I'm very happy with the structure now that I can actually hold on to that. There's nothing I can really panic about doing, and I'm quite strong on that. On the fact that I was just talking about Neto there, he can see that he's on 34 points and he's only selected by 3.4 million, which is an amazing differential. And look at his last 4 weeks, not including the first 2. He's had a goal, he's had an assist, 2 assists, 1 assist, and a goal against Luton. His next game week is against Man City, which is why I'm definitely not bringing him in for that. But look at his upcoming fixtures against Villa, which is an okay one, especially at Molineux, and then Bournemouth. Newcastle up at home is going to be difficult, as we know, because they're starting to really hit form. But then again, he goes into Sheffield United, quite a strong Spurs, and then Fulham. And then right after that Arsenal game in December, which will probably would have wildcard by then, he got quite a lot good run of fixtures there, so he is someone I am definitely going to be looking to bring into my team in the near future. But the most important thing is you do get Newcastle defensive assets in right now. Saying that, I may even double up with Chilwell to Botman or Schär, because I can easily afford that and keep more money in the bank. But I'm going to kind of leave that just for now, because I'm happy enough just having one asset and maybe spreading the damage in case something does happen. Because the 3 clean sheets in a row for Newcastle, yes, one of them's a Champions League, that is an incredible statistic, but is it something we want to keep it going? I'm not 100% sure about, because it might be a bit of a struggle once we see these games come frequently for them, because they do have an EFL game this weekend, and then right back they do have another Champions League group, which will be an away game, so we might actually see a little bit of drop in confidence going forward from that, because they do, as we know, have the group of death. But so far so good for them, getting 2 clean sheets in the Premier League, although most people only have had them in for the 1. But we're happy enough with this. It's going well so far. Having a look here, I was looking at Son's statistics there, based on the fact he did blank, but he is looking as if he is going to improve dramatically. Looking at the statistics on the spreadsheets that I've built. So I'm really having a look at this and really analysing that before I make my decisions, which is something that's probably given me a little bit of a heads up compared to a lot of the other FPL experts out there, as I'm creating my own data sets where I'm able to then do a lot of cross analysis. That's the main reason I've been telling you from the start, do not be buying Nicholas Jackson and Sterling, because the Chelsea do not look good. But so many people are out there saying, his XG is good. Yeah, but that's not a statistic that you really want to be cross-analysing. You want to be having the influence in the game. Yes, he's had expected goals, but that's because he's in the positions to get them, because he is the number 9. He should be putting them away more often. But if you've not been listening to that point, really trust me when I'm saying I'm making decisions based on this data set, which I've built from scratch myself, which has really helped me grow my team to actually keep money in the bank, keep things more valuable whenever we have to bring in the big assets, which is why if you look at my midfield, it is probably one of the strongest that you are going to see, especially around this time of the year without wildcarding as well. Because yes, Mbeumo's not had a great 2 weeks, which is fair enough. He did smash it at the start. He was going to have a little bit of a lull. Brentford did not look that good against Everton, which was a game that they really should be winning, but he is still somebody who is very valuable because he was very influential in that game, and he was very unlucky not to get a goal or two or an assist because it was an absolute howler of a miss that he should have been involved in. Awoniyi is someone who's just been bringing in the points consistently. He does have some good fixtures coming up, and I'm definitely targeting that Luton game, which is somebody I might even captain for that, just based on the fact that he continuously keeps bringing home points. Haaland is a funny one because he's won obviously every single game, and he did blank in that Newcastle game, which is when I did actually think that I was going to captain someone else, and it paid off. But then against West Ham, I didn't captain him, and he absolutely smashed it. Thank God for the Fulham one. I did have him captain, or I would have fallen so far behind. But his upcoming fixtures, he does have a really difficult fixture against Arsenal, which we might not want to underestimate. I know they're my boys, you can see them behind me, but you need to remember Rodri is now banned for that game due to his stupid throttling I can't remember who it was that he throat against Nottingham Forest at the weekend. I think it was Gibbs White. He tried to throttle him, and he's now got himself banned to the end of October. And if you do remember, every previous Arsenal and Man City game, he has been the one that has really tore Arsenal apart. So without him, they're going to have to come up with something else. Don't get me wrong, Calvin Phillips coming in might actually be a good asset for him, and he's not going to be that much shorter than Rodri, but we do know Rodri has that temper, and he is somebody that we need to be aware of. So coming up for the next couple of fixtures, that Arsenal game is not an easy one without that. Hopefully as well, Arsenal will have Martinelli back and Trossard, because there is a lot of injuries between them two teams, but that one is a game week where the result might not go in Man City's favour. Well, I hope anyway, but the fact that 92% of people have Haaland, there's just no point in not actually having him in your team, because if he does something, you know it's going to be absolutely travesty if you do something with him. But obviously you have to keep Haaland in your team. But that's definitely what I'm looking at here for the next couple of weeks. So far so good, bringing in Salah. I'm quite happy with that team. As I said, my next future transfers are going to be Chilwell and then Andreas, or the other way around, depending on what happens this week. I now have no money in the bank because I was able to afford Salah just from selling Bruno Fernandes, which actually annoyed me because then Bruno Fernandes did get his points increased as well. But hey ho, it was only 0.1, so I still think I made the right decision, and I'm able to free up some money as well, downgrading Chilwell, and then I could maybe make a bit more decisions on that going forward. But so far so good with this team. We're absolutely smashing it in the league. We're doing an incredible job going forward, and looking at this, we do not need to even worry about a wild card. But definitely the players that you need to be looking to bring in your team are Salah, Son, and definitely a Newcastle asset. If you can afford Trippier, 100% go for it. Getting a hat-trick of assists, and he looked incredible against AC Milan as well. I don't think he's going to be such a minutes risk, but he might get subbed off later in the games, whereas Dan Burn I thought was a great shout just based on the fact he has not been subbed off. He might not get on the goal list or the assist list as much, but keeping that extra money in the bank, and really you're only going to be targeting the clean sheets with these Newcastle defenders, which there's definitely going to be picking up a few more in the next couple of weeks. Not guaranteeing every week whenever the games start coming quick and fast, especially the European ones, but having him or Botman or Share, if you can't afford Trippier, you're going to be no worse less off really. Maybe a point here or two on bonus, but you're going to pick that up in other assets as long as you're able to use your money wisely. That's all for today's video, guys, and remember, if you're going to get your team reviewed by myself, drop it in my Instagram, which is down below. I'll be doing that over on Thursday. That's all for today's video, guys. I will see you then, and goodbye.